Eli Thorne stepped off the shuttle onto Virel Station for the first time. The space station floated near the edge of the Andorran system, known as a peaceful place where many alien species and humans worked together. It was a place of learning, culture, and diplomacy. Eli looked around wide-eyed. The halls were clean and bright, filled with people from different worlds. Tall aliens with crystal-like skin walked past small ones with fur and glowing eyes. Machines hovered through the air carrying supplies, and signs glowed in many languages. Eli was just 19. A student from Earth, sent here to learn about diplomacy. His father, Commander Darius Thorne, was a respected war hero and peacekeeper. Many people expected great things from Eli because of that. He tried not to let it bother him. Inside the main hall, Eli met with the training officer, a calm man named Captain Revan. Revan showed him around and explained his duties. "You'll be working in the cultural wing," Revan said. "Learning how other species live and think. It's not just about talking. It's about understanding." Eli nodded. "I'll do my best." That afternoon, Revan introduced him to a group of translators. They were responsible for helping aliens and humans understand each other. Among them stood a tall, elegant alien woman named Syria. She was unlike anyone Eli had ever seen. Her skin was a soft silver blue, smooth like marble, and her long hair shimmered like water in moonlight. Her eyes glowed faintly violet, calm, and deep. "This is Syria," Revan said. "It's one of our best translators." Syria bowed her head gently. "Welcome to Virel Station, Eli Thorne." Eli smiled. "Thank you. I hope I can learn from you." They shook hands. Syria's touch was cool and soft. For the next few days, Eli trained in the cultural wing. He watched and listened as Syria worked. She spoke many languages, and she explained how to read small details, tone, expression, and even silence. Eli was amazed by her calm and grace. One afternoon, they sat in the observation room, looking out at the stars. The view was beautiful. Planets glowed in the distance, and ships moved slowly like stars in motion. "You must have seen many places," Eli said. Syria nodded. "Yes, my people once lived far from here, on a quiet planet called Zephyr. It was peaceful, until ... things changed." Eli leaned forward, curious. "Did your people know Earth back then?" Syria looked away for a moment, as if remembering something sad. "Only in stories." Eli wanted to understand more. He hesitated, then said with a smile, "My father used to visit many places. Maybe he visited Zephyr, too. His name is Commander Darius Thorne." The moment he spoke the name, Sarah's body stiffened. Her smile faded. Her hand, which had been resting calmly on the table, slowly curled into a fist. Eli noticed the change right away. Syria turned to him, her eyes no longer soft. They were sharp now, filled with something Eli couldn't name. Shock, maybe pain. "You are his son?" she asked, her voice quiet but tight. Eli felt a coldness run through him. "Yes. I am." "Why?" Syria stood slowly, her movements careful. "I must go." "Wait," Eli said, standing up too. "What is it?" "What did he do?" She didn't answer. Her eyes met his once more, full of something deep and buried. Then she said, almost in a whisper, "Ask him what happened on Zephyr." And with that, she turned and walked away, leaving Eli standing there, confused and frozen. The next morning, Eli tried to act normal, but he couldn't stop thinking about Syria's words. Ask him what happened on Zephyr. He sat alone in the mess hall, barely touching his food. Around him, the station buzzed with life, but inside him, there was only silence. Later that day, he went to the communication deck. He stared at the message screen, his fingers hovering over the keys. He could send a message to Earth. He could ask his father directly. But what if he didn't like the answer? Eli stood there for a long time, the words repeating in his head. She flinched when I mentioned my father's name. Her reply froze me where I stood. Eli couldn't sleep that night. He lay in his small room on Virel Station, staring at the ceiling, replaying Syria's words again and again in his mind. Ask him what happened on Zephyr. Zephyr, a planet he had never heard of before. His father had told him many stories about battles and peace talks, but never once did he mention Shepard. Eli sat up and turned on the small lamp by his bed. The soft light glowed over the desk beside him. Picked up his datapad and searched through public records. He typed in, Zephyr plus Darius Thorn. Nothing came up. He tried again with different words. Still no results. It was like Zephyr had been erased from history. The next morning, Eli walked into the cultural wing, but Syria wasn't there. One of the assistants told him she had taken the day off. He didn't know if it was because of him. Maybe she didn't want to see him. He felt a little hurt. But more than that, he felt curious. So after his duties were done, Eli went to a quiet part of the station, the historical archive room. It was large and silent, filled with rows of glowing data shelves. Old machines hummed gently, and the air smelled like cold metal. Few people came here now, as most information was accessed from personal devices. But Eli believed the real secrets might still be hidden in the old systems. He walked up to the desk where an old alien sat, his wrinkled green skin showing his age. The man's name tag read, Archivist Yolan, excuse me. Eli said politely, I'm looking for information about a mission from around 20 years ago. It might involve my father, Commander Darius Thorn. Yolan looked up slowly, blinking his cloudy eyes. Darius Thorn? He said, voice raspy. That name hasn't been asked in a long time. Eli leaned in. Do you know him? I've never met him, the archivist said. But I remember. The stories, he was a hero. People trusted him. Eli nodded. Do you know anything about Zephyr? Jalen's eyes narrowed. Zephyr. That's a name I haven't heard in years. Please, Eli said. I just want to know what happened there. Yolan didn't answer right away. He looked over his shoulder, then stood slowly and walked to a large wall of glowing shelves. He typed in a code, and a small drawer opened with a soft click. Inside was a dusty data crystal. This is all that's left, he said, handing it to Eli, but be careful. Some things were hidden for a reason. Eli took the crystal and placed it in the nearby reader. A screen came to life. It showed an old report, Project Veilfire, classified mission, Zephyr. There were only a few lines available. Most of the file was locked under heavy security. The open part said, Commander Darius Thorn led a peace delegation to Zephyr in Earth Year, Act 2139. The goal, to discuss energy-sharing technology with the native Zephyri. Outcome, successful negotiations. Returned safely. That was it. No photos, no personal logs, nothing else. Eli frowned. The mission was too clean. It didn't match Syria's reaction. He looked at the locked sections and tried to open them. Access denied. Is there a way to unlock this? Eli asked. Jalen shook his head. Only officers with high clearance. Or someone very determined. Eli thanked the archivist and left. As he walked through the station halls, his thoughts were heavy. He passed by a window and looked out at the stars, wondering if Zephyr was still out there. If anyone lived there now, that night, Eli sent a short message to his father on Earth. Hi, Dad. Did you ever visit a planet called Zephyr? Someone here mentioned it. I'd like to know more. Hope you're well. He waited for a reply, but nothing. Came back that day, the next morning. Eli was heading to his shift when he noticed someone waiting near the transport lift. It was Noro, a young alien tech officer Eli had met earlier during orientation. Noro was small and curious, with bright, green skin and eyes like golden marbles. He loved solving puzzles. I heard you were asking about Zephyr, Noro said in a whisper. Eli blinked. How do you know that? Noro gave a sly grin. The archive logs everything, even who opens what. Eli looked around, nervous. Is that a problem? No, Noro said quickly. But if you really want answers, I might be able to help. Eli hesitated. Why would you help me? 'Cause secrets like Zephyr, Noro said, are dangerous when buried. And I like unburying things. Later that evening, Eli met Noro in the maintenance deck. It was quiet and empty, filled with repaired drones and old wiring. Noro connected a device to Eli's datapad. I can't break into the whole military system, he said. but I can scan hidden layers inside that data crystal you found. As the device worked, lines of code scrolled across the screen. Suddenly a line popped up. Project Veilfire. Operation failed. Contact lost. One survivor? Commander Thorne. All others presumed dead. Eli's heart dropped. But the record said peace was made, he whispered. Noro raised an eyebrow. Not according to this. There were more notes hidden deeper, but they were damaged. Only one line came through clearly. Zephyr refused to hand over energy device. Conflict began. Emergency order issued. Eli stared at the screen. His father had told him about many peaceful missions, but he never mentioned this. He now understood why Syria flinched. Why she walked away? It wasn't just a name, it was a memory. Eli sat quietly in his room, staring at the words on his datapad. Zephyr refused to hand over energy device. Conflict began. Emergency order issued. That one sentence changed everything. Father Commander Darius Thorne had always spoken of peace. He was called a hero back on Earth. People said he ended wars and saved lives. But now, Eli saw something different. The official record said the mission on Zephyr was successful. But the hidden file said there was conflict. Only his father returned. No one else survived. Eli remembered Syria's face when he said his father's name. He now understood why she flinched. He needed to know more. The next day, Eli went back to the cultural wing. Syria was there again, speaking softly with a group of young translators. She looked calm, but when her eyes met Eli's, her smile disappeared. After the session ended, Eli quietly walked over to her. Syria, he said gently, please, can we talk? She looked at him for a long moment, then nodded once. They found a quiet corner near the garden dome. A few plants from different worlds grew inside, glowing softly in the sunlight like warmth. I found some old records, Eli said. About Zephyr. About my father. Syria stood still, her hands folded in front of her, and Eli took a deep breath. The reports were changed. The public record says it was a peaceful mission, but hidden files say there was a conflict. That the Zephyr refused to give something to the humans. And that only my father came back alive. Syria nodded slowly. That is the truth I remember. Eli looked at her carefully. Were you there? Yes, she said softly. I was a child. My people lived in the mountains of Zephyr. We had technology that created energy from the planet's core. Clean energy, strong, beautiful. Your people called it a weapon, but it was never made to hurt. Eli listened, not interrupting. One day Syria continued. Ships came from Earth. They brought peacekeepers. Your father led them. We welcomed them, shared food and music. But when they saw the energy device, something changed. They wanted to take it. Syria paused. Her voice trembled slightly. Our leaders said no. They feared it would be misunderstood or used in war. We offered to teach, to explain, but your father said time was running out. Then the skies lit up. Fire came from the sky. Buildings fell. My mother hid me in the cellar. When I came out, everything was gone. Eli felt his heart sink. I didn't know. ... Syria looked away. Oh! Of course you didn't. That's how. History is rewritten. He stepped closer. I want to know the truth. I don't want to hide behind my father's name anymore. She looked at him again, her eyes softer this time, then go to Zephyr. The ruins still remain. Want to understand? You must see it for yourself. Eli nodded slowly. Will you come with me? Syria hesitated. Then she said, yes. If we go together, maybe some healing can begin. That night, Eli met Noro again in the maintenance deck. He told him everything. You're going to Zephyr? Noro asked, surprised. Yes, Eli said. Only way. Noro scratched his head. It's not easy. Zephyr is under travel ban, quarantined after the mission. No regular ships are allowed, but you know a way, don't you? Eli asked with a small smile. Noro grinned. Lucky I like trouble. 2 days later, inside a small cargo ship named the Lark, Eli, Syria. and Noro left Virel Station during a regular supply flight. The ship was small and quiet, hidden among larger transport vessels. Eli looked out at the stars. His hands were cold. His thoughts were heavier. He thought about his father, about the stories he used to hear as a boy. Strong words like honor, duty, and peace. He wondered now if those words had different meanings in his father's heart. Syria sat beside him, silent. "Do you hate him?" Eli asked quietly. She shook her head. "I don't know. Sometimes I think I do. Other times I remember that he looked sad, like he didn't want to do it." Eli whispered, "Maybe he didn't." They both looked out at the endless space. Ahead, after 2 long days of travel, the Lark approached Zephyr. From above, the planet looked beautiful, green and blue, surrounded by clouds. But as they landed, the beauty faded. The once great city was now a broken field of ruins. Cracked buildings stood like skeletons. Trees had grown through the stone. Nature was trying to take back what was lost. Eli stepped onto the soil. It was quiet. Syria knelt beside a fallen stone. Her fingers brushed over strange symbols. "Carved into it, this was our school," she whispered. "I used to sit here with my brother." They walked through the ruins together, searching. They found broken machines, old symbols, and buried memories. At the center of the city, under the ground, they discovered something more. A sealed chamber. Noro used his tools to open it. Inside was a small room, untouched by time. Stood a tall, crystal-like device. Around it were burned walls. In a single recording terminal, Eli walked to it and pressed the power button. A hologram flickered to life. His father's face appeared tired, aged, and serious. "This is Commander Darius Thorne. If anyone finds this message, I want them to know I'm sorry I was wrong. We thought it was a weapon. My orders were clear, remove any threat to Earth, but they weren't a threat. They were teachers. They tried to share something pure. I failed to listen. I failed as a leader and as a man. It's only I survived, and I carried that guilt with me every day. It's my son. If you ever see this, please forgive me. Please, do what I could not. Tell the truth." The message ended. Silence filled the room. Eli couldn't move. His father had never spoken about Zephyr. Not once, and now he had spoken to him. From the past, with pain in his voice. Syria stood still, tears in her eyes, but she didn't cry. Her face was strong. He knew, she said. He knew what he did. Eli looked at her. "Now it's our turn to decide what comes next." Ship landed quietly on the surface of Zephyr. The air was thin, but safe to breathe. A soft wind blew across the ruined land, carrying the smell of dust, old metal, and wild plants. Eli stepped down from the ramp of the Lark, his boots crunching over cracked stone and broken glass. His eyes moved slowly across the empty city. Tall towers once stood here. Now they lay half buried in the ground, broken and forgotten. Syria followed close behind. Her silver-blue skin seemed to glow slightly in the sunlight. She didn't speak, but her eyes showed deep emotion. This was her home, once full of life. Now only silence remained. Noro, their small alien friend and tech expert, was the last to step out. He looked around, scanning the ruins with his handheld device. "No life signs," he said quietly. "Only remains of old energy fields. This place is sleeping." They started walking through what was once the city's heart. The streets were wide and curved, made of smooth white stone. But now, weeds and roots had broken through. Strange plants grew everywhere, green, blue, and glowing. Softly, Eli looked at the ruins and felt a strange sadness. It was more than just a place. It was history, buried under lies. "Was this your home?" he asked Syria gently. She nodded. "Yes, my family lived near the river, just beyond the council tower." They passed through a tall arch, half collapsed. A statue stood beside Itan old Zephyr leader, with arms stretched to the sky. Most of the statue was damaged, but the eyes were still clear, as if watching them. Syria stopped and placed her hand on the statue. His name was Rael. He was the one who told your father we could not share the energy device. Eli was quiet. Because you feared we would use it for war, Assyria said. We had already seen your world from afar. We were always fighting. Rael believed in peace, but he also believed in caution. They walked further until they reached the edge of the city. There, among the trees and broken houses, stood a small stone building with a curved roof. Most of the roof had fallen in, and vines covered the doorway. Syria stepped inside. This was my home, she said softly. I remember the kitchen was here, and the sleeping rooms there. Eli looked around. A broken chair. A faded wall carving. A tiny toy half buried in the dust. Why did you come with me? He asked her. This must be painful. Syria looked at him with calm eyes, because if we never face the past, we can never move forward. They returned to the city center and went underground, to the secret chamber they had found earlier. It was the only part of the city still, untouched by time. In the center stood the energy device stall, crystal-like and silent. Round it were panels, lights, and a terminal screen. Noro set up his tools. Let's see if I can wake it up, he said cheerfully. Trying to lift the mood, he worked quickly, connecting wires, checking power levels, and scanning the system. Got something, he said after a few minutes. The device lit up with a soft Lights pulsed across its surface like flowing water. A hologram appeared above the console. It showed a group of Scifi leaders, including Rael. They were speaking in Syria's language. She translated aloud for Eli and Noro. The humans want the core. They say it will help bring balance, but they do not understand it. If they take it without knowledge, it will break. We must protect it not just for us, but for them too. The hologram ended. Eli felt a weight in his chest. They weren't hiding it out of fear. They were protecting it out of kindness. Syria nodded. My people knew that true power could destroy even in the hands of those with good hearts. Suddenly, another message appeared. It was labeled Emergency Recording Commander Thornley pressed play. His father's voice filled the room. The hologram showed him in the same chamber 20 years ago. His face was younger, but already tired. The leaders are refusing to share the core. My orders are clear, but something feels wrong. This doesn't look like a weapon. It looks like art. Still, the Council on Earth believes it's dangerous. I have requested more time. No answer yet, if anything happens. If I don't make it, I'm sorry. I came for peace. I never wanted this. The message ended. Eli looked at Syria. Her face was still unreadable. Your father was not evil, she said at last. But he was trapped. Between fear and duty. In Fear 1, outside the sky was turning dark. Stars began to appear above the broken towers. Noro packed up his tools. We should leave before the winds rise. They made their way back to the ship. Eli turned one last time to look at the city. I wish I could change the past, he said. You can't, Syria replied, but you can change the future. Back on the Lark, they lifted off and headed into orbit. As the planet grew smaller, beneath them, Eli looked at the files he had gathered. The holograms, the hidden reports. The truth. This needs to be seen, he said. People have to know what happened. Syria gave a small nod. Yes, not for blame, but for healing. Lee tapped his datapad and began preparing a report. He would send it to the council on Virel Station. He would show them everything. He wasn't just a soldier's son anymore. He was a witness. The stars outside the window of the Lark shone calmly, but inside the ship, Eli's heart was anything but calm. He sat in the corner of the cabin, staring at the recordings from Zephyr. The voice of his father still echoed in his ears. The words I never wanted this replayed again and again. Eli had grown up believing his father was a hero. Now he knew the truth was more complicated. Syria sat across from him, quiet. Bro. Eyes were closed, her hands resting gently in her lap. She had spoken little since they left Zephyr. Maybe the memories were too heavy. Or maybe she was waiting for Eli to speak first. Nora was in the pilot's seat, humming softly as he adjusted their course. We'll be back on Virel Station by morning, he said. No one's chasing us yet. Eli finally broke the silence. Syria, do you believe my father meant to destroy your people? Syria opened her eyes slowly. She didn't answer right away. She spoke. Her voice was calm but serious. I don't believe he wanted to kill anyone. But fear is powerful. It clouds judgment. Your father feared what he didn't understand, and Earth feared losing control. Eli nodded. I understand now. He didn't just follow orders. He also tried to delay them. He knew something was wrong. But he still gave the final command. Syria looked at him. Sometimes trying isn't enough. The words stung, but Eli knew she was right. When they returned to Vyrel Station, things were different. Eli could feel it. The place seemed louder, more alert. Patrol drones moved faster. People watched them with curious eyes. Noro met them at the docking bay after handling their ship's records. Someone knows we went somewhere we weren't supposed to, he whispered. They're watching us. Eli frowned. Then we need to speak first, before they stop us, Syria agreed. The truth must come from us, not from rumors. They went to the central archive room. Archivist Yalin was there, sitting at his usual desk. When he saw them, he raised his wrinkled brow. You found something, didn't you? He asked. Eli nodded. We went to Zephyr. We found what was hidden. Jalen's eyes widened slightly. He leaned closer. Did you find the energy device? Yes, Syria said. Recordings from the past. The truth has been buried long enough. Yalin stood slowly. Come with me. He led them to a secure room inside the archive, a place where official records were reviewed before being entered into the central system. There, Eli placed the data crystal into the main console. The room darkened, and a hologram of Commander Darius Thorne appeared. If anyone finds this message, I want them to know I'm sorry. I was wrong. Eli watched the old man's face. He didn't look like the strong hero from the medals and history books. He looked like a man carrying heavy guilt. When the recording ended, silence filled the room. Jalen finally spoke. This changes everything. Eli nodded. We want to show it to the council. Yalin looked at Syria, then back at Eli. Are you sure? If this is shown, your father's reputation will fall. People will question the past. You may not be welcomed by everyone. Eli stood straight. I'm not doing this to hurt my father. I'm doing this to honor the truth, and maybe to give peace to those who lost everything. Yalin nodded slowly. Then I will schedule a special hearing. The next day, Eli stood before the Vyrel Station Council. The council room was large, shaped like a circle. Delegates from different species sat around the center stage. Some looked curious, others looked doubtful. Syria stood beside him, calm and tall. Nora was in the back, watching nervously. A human councilwoman named Elra spoke first. Eli Thorne, you requested this session. You claim to have new information about Project Veilfire. Proceed. Eli took a deep breath and stepped forward. 20 years ago, my father, Commander Darius Thorne, led a mission to the planet Zephyr. The official report said it was a peaceful mission. The negotiations were successful. But that report is not the truth. Gasps echoed around the room. I went to Zephyr, Eli continued, with Syria, a survivor of that mission. We found the truth in the ruins. We found recordings from my father. He tried to stop the attack, but in the end he followed orders that destroyed a peaceful people. He played the recording. The room fell silent as the hologram spoke. I had no choice. They were building a weapon. I was wrong. When the recording ended, Eli turned to face the council again. I do not bring this to bring shame. I bring this because healing only begins with truth. The Zephyri were not a threat. They were protectors of powerful knowledge. My father didn't understand that. Earth was afraid of what it couldn't control. Syria stepped forward now. Her voice was soft but strong. My people trusted. Your people. We opened our homes, our knowledge, our hearts. But fear destroyed all of it. Still, we do not ask for punishment. We ask for recognition, for apology, for peace.
Oh.
The room remained quiet. Then, Councilwoman Elra stood. We thank you for your bravery, she said. This matter is serious. We will discuss how to proceed. After the hearing, Eli sat in the garden dome with Syria and Noro. The sunlights glowed above, and flowers swayed in the gentle air. "You did it," Noro said, clapping Eli on the back. "You faced the whole station and told the truth." Eli smiled faintly. "I didn't do it alone." Syria looked at him. "What will you do now?" Eli thought for a moment. "I'm not sure. I know I don't want to live in the shadow of a story that wasn't true. I want to help rebuild something. Maybe even help others share their truths." Syria nodded. That would be a good path. The silence between them was peaceful now, not full of fear or guilt, but understanding. That night, Eli wrote a message to his mother on Earth. He didn't tell her everything, just that he had discovered something about his father, and that he was proud to carry a new kind of legacy, better one. And this time, he felt free. 2 days had passed since the council hearing on Virel Station. The atmosphere had changed. People whispered in the halls. News about the real story of Zephyr spread quickly. Some praised Eli for his courage. Others looked at him with doubt, or even quiet anger. Eli expected that. He knew not everyone would be ready to accept the truth about Commander Darius Thorne, the man they once called a hero. He sat alone in the observation deck, staring out at the stars. The space outside looked the same, calm, silent, but inside, everything felt different. His thoughts were broken by a soft voice behind him. "You have not spoken much today," Syria said, walking up beside him. Eli gave her a small smile. "Just thinking about your father," she asked gently. He nodded. "All my life I was told stories about him, how brave he was, how he saved lives. Now I know those stories weren't complete. He made mistakes, was afraid. He followed orders, even when they felt wrong." Syria sat beside him. "Even strong people can be afraid. But true strength is in what you do after knowing the truth." Eli looked at her. "And now I have a choice." She raised an eyebrow. "What kind of choice?" Later that day, Eli was called back to the council hall. He walked in slowly. The circular room looked just as it had before: elegant walls, glowing lights, and rows of alien and human council members sitting silently. Councilwoman Elra stood. "To speak, Eli Thorne," she began. "Your findings have shaken many old beliefs. The council has reviewed your evidence. The events on Zephyr have been confirmed. We have decided to open a formal investigation into Project Veilfire and Commander Darius Thorne's role." Eli felt both relief and sadness. "However," Elra continued, "we must now decide how to share this truth with the wider systems. Many on Earth and nearby colonies still see your father as a hero. If this story is released, it may cause unrest, may bring confusion. Some will say you are trying to destroy his legacy." She paused, then added, "But some will listen. Some will learn." Another council member, a tall creature with shimmering green skin, spoke next. "There are 2 paths, Eli Thorne," he said. 1. We publish a cleaned report. We say mistakes were made, but leave your father's name untouched. This keeps peace, but hides part of the truth. Or 2, we release everything, the full truth. Your father's message, the Zephyr recordings, and your personal report, but that will bring questions, doubts, and maybe anger." Eli stood still. He understood now. This was the choice Syria had spoken of. Not just a choice about the past, but about what kind of future he wanted to help build. He took a deep breath and stepped forward. "When I first came to this station," Eli said clearly, "I was proud to carry my father's name, but pride is not the same as truth." The room grew quiet. My father tried to stop what happened, but in the end he didn't. He gave the final order. People died. Whole culture was almost lost. He looked at each council member. "I won't hide that. I won't protect a name if it means silencing others." He glanced at Syria, who stood near the wall, watching him with calm strength. "The full truth must be told. Not just for justice, but so it never happens again. So that when we say the word peace, we know what it really means." The council members looked at one another. Councilwoman Elra finally nodded. "Double quotes, very well," she said. "Your choice is made. By the end of the week, the full report was sent out across the Alliance human systems and alien worlds alike. It was translated into many languages and shared through official channels. The title read, Zephyr, The Lost Truth of Project Veilfire. Inside, it included the hidden records, Commander Thorne's message. In Siria's personal statement, many people were shocked. Some refused to believe it. Some said Eli was lying. But many listened. Many cried. Many began to ask questions they had never asked before. Eli received hundreds of messages. Some thanked him. Some called him brave. Others called him a traitor. Read every message with care. He understood now that truth was not always easy, but it was always needed. 1 evening, Siria came to visit him in the archive room. They stood beside a new display that had just been added. It showed a hologram of Zephyr's city before the attack. It was a peaceful, shining place. Under it, a plaque read, Let history speak, let memory guide, let silence never bury thee. Truth. Siria placed a small flower from her homeworld beside the display. Hey, this was grown from a seed I saved, she said softly. Even in broken ground, life can begin again. Eli looked at her. Do you think your people will ever return to Zephyr? Some will, she replied. Not to rebuild the past, but to plant something new. Eli nodded. I want to help in any way I can. She smiled, a small and honest smile. You already have. Later that night, Eli sat at his desk. He opened a message he had been writing for Deza. Message to his father. Dear Dad, I learned what happened on Zephyr. I saw the recordings. I know you tried to stop it. I know you were afraid. I understand now that heroes are not perfect. I didn't hide your truth. I shared it, because I believe peace means more than silence. I still respect you, but now I want to walk my own path, one that begins with truth, one that brings healing. Maybe someday someone will speak my name and feel proud not because I hid something, but because I chose to stand up for what was right. Your son Eli, hit send. The message would go into the family archive on Earth. He closed his eyes. 4. The first time since arriving on Varel Station, he felt light. As if something heavy had been lifted. He wasn't just the son of a commander anymore. He was something else now. The days after the report's release were full of change. Varel Station was no longer the quiet place Eli had first arrived at. Instead, it buzzed with discussions, meetings, and debates about Zephyr and the truth behind Project Veilfire. Eli moved through the halls with a new sense of purpose. He was no longer just a student or the son of a famous commander. He was a voice, a bridge between past and future, between humans and aliens. Siria walked beside him as they attended one of the many forums held in the station's main auditorium. Leaders, diplomats, and citizens gathered to share ideas about how to heal old wounds and build trust again. During one meeting, a Zephyr elder spoke. Her voice was strong but kind. We cannot bring back what was lost, she said, but we can plant new seeds. Seeds of friendship, understanding, and respect. The past is our teacher, not our prison. Eli nodded. He stood afterward to speak. I want to help build that future, he said. Not by forgetting the past, but by learning from it. By listening to voices like Sirius, like yours. Applause filled the room. After the forum, Siria and Eli walked to the garden dome. The place felt alive with hope. Flowers bloomed in colors Eli had never seen. The soft light from the dome above made everything glow gently. I never thought I would find peace here, Siria said, touching a blue flower. Not just for my people, but for myself. Eli smiled. Peace is hard, but it's worth fighting. 4. They sat on a bench, watching small birds flutter among the trees. For the first time in a long time, Eli felt calm. I wrote a message to my father, he said quietly. I told him I forgive him, and that I want to walk my own path. Siria looked at him, her violet eyes shining. That is brave, Eli nodded. I want to keep telling stories. It's not just about war or mistakes, but about hope and healing. A few weeks later, a new opportunity came. The Alliance was forming a special group dedicated to peace-building between species. Eli was invited to join as a young ambassador, someone who had faced hard truths and chose courage. He accepted. Syria was chosen as a cultural advisor, bringing her knowledge and wisdom. Noro joined too as a technology specialist. Together, they formed a small team that traveled between worlds, sharing stories and learning from others. On their first mission, they visited a colony where humans and aliens lived side by side, but still held deep mistrust. Eli spoke openly about Zephyr. Truth can be uncomfortable, he told them, but hiding it only builds walls. We need to tear down those walls with honesty and kindness. Slowly, the colony began to listen. Old fears softened. One night, back on Virel Station, Eli stood on the observation deck. The stars stretched endlessly before him. He thought about how far he had come from a young student unsure of his father's past, to a man willing to face difficult truths for the sake of peace. His datapad beeped softly. A message from Earth. He opened it. It was from his mother. Eli, I have read everything. Your father's truth, your courage. I am proud of you. You have brought light to shadows long hidden. You are not just his son, you are your own man. Eli smiled. Feeling warmth spread through him, he replied, Thank you. Mom, I hope to keep walking this path, one of truth, healing, and hope, as Eli looked out at the stars. Syria joined him quietly. Do you think your father would be proud? She asked. Eli thought for a moment. Maybe. I hope so. I think he wanted peace, even if he didn't always know how to find it. Syria nodded. Then you are doing what he could not. And maybe that is the greatest legacy. They stood together, watching the stars shine softly, ready to face whatever future came next. The end.